Hey, what's up? It is Sylvester Stimley, also known as Sly, here at Keeping It Kingdom. Don't forget, it's not just a saying, it's a lifestyle. And today I have some very special guests here with me that our relationships run deep. And there's a saying that I have, and that's that kingdom mindset leads to kingdom connections. And those kingdom connections lead to kingdom relationships. And kingdom relationships always have a kingdom impact. And so today I'd like to just introduce to you my friends, my brothers in Christ that have come to hang out with me. And we've already been unpacking some very intense conversation. And so I want to, this really wasn't on the agenda, but I feel like we might as well go there, right? Because I think that those that will be listening and watching this, it'll be good for them to hear about God's grace, God's mercy, how we should be quick to listen, slow to speak, slow to judge, right? But quick to gain understanding. And so, man, I'd love to introduce, but I'm just going to introduce, and I want y'all to just tell our viewers who you are, where you're from. We'll get a little bit into some of the topics that we kind of discussed. But this is my brother Troy, my brother Matt. Let's do this. Let's start with Troy. And then, just let them know who you are, the body of Christ that you serve. And then, Mac, you can go after that. And then we'll just kind of get back into this conversation we were talking about.
Appreciate you, Sly, for the gracious introduction. My name's Troy Dix. I get to serve as the youth and children's minister at Bethlehem Baptist Church in Mansfield, Texas, where our pastor is Dr. Michael A. Evans Sr. My story is kind of just bouncing around the Christian world and just testing out what God's giftings look like in me, and just having great mentors around me to help me go in the direction I needed to go. So pandemic hits. I'm at Truett Seminary at Baylor. Actually met my pastor at a conference for the African American ministries through the Texas Baptist here, and we got connected that way. And then pandemic hits. We coming out of the pandemic in 2021. I graduate in May, and he.
All right,
go ahead.
So just be aware. I may put the car in park.
It's all good.
So you're telling me, sir?
Yes, sir.
That you and Dr. Michael A. Evans. You see how I threw that initial in there?
Yeah, man.
So y'all met at a conference.
Yeah.
That is a kingdom connection that led to a kingdom relationship. You know what I mean?
I see what you did there.
Like,
It did.
But see, I think we sometimes, I don't know if you've caught that, right? But God had you in a specific place at a specific season in your life so that you can actually have a connection. That connection then led to a relationship. It wasn't relationship, then connection, right?
Right.
And now here you are serving in the city where you met him at.
Yeah.
Not where you were going to school at.
Yeah.
Okay, keep going. These things like I love hearing how God works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. God is mind blowing though. Like, check this out. So I actually am like working the conference.
So you working like a volunteer?
I'm working. I'm not even at the conference. I don't even think I'm going to be like in the church at this point. I really wanted to do parachurch work, all that good stuff. So I'm working for the seminary, doing recruiting stuff. And here comes pastor to the table. I'm the last vendor there, of course, because I'm the young guy. I don't pack up early. I don't think I have that privilege at this point, right? So I'm the last one there. He's like, hey, man, you should come in here and have lunch with us with the pastors. I'm like, hold on. I don't belong here in this room, let alone, hanging out with you, because I know who you are, because I've read about you, right? He's connected, big guy in the Baylor world and Texas Baptist world. So he invites me into this lunch. Me and our executive pastor have a dope conversation for about 45 minutes. He invites me to lunch, all the rest of that stuff, remembers me, gets my resume, calls me up on my birthday in 2021. It's like, you need to put in for this job.
So what year did you meet him at that conference? What year was that?
Man, it had to be 2019 because that was the last time that we would have that conference before the pandemic.
Wow.
So
Come on.
it was 2019
Yeah.
that I met him, and then the connection turned all the way around 2021.
Troy, how many people was at this conference?
Hey, man, it's the whole, we've got, man, I'm going to botch this number, but it's a good 500 plus churches in the conference, African-American churches, right? And so you've got pastors from all of that place. At that particular conference, it was big. There's probably a good 150 pastors in that room for lunch. So
And God saw fit.
to pull little old me in there for a conversation that I just,
That
y'all
was-
talking about.
That was not looking to go into ministry.
No,
Like, man, I'm just
wasn't
trying
at
to
all.
do the thing. Like, I'm just here to help.
I'm the water bottle guy, right? Like, I feel like my place in ministry was like roll out the Gatorades, tell the guys that we love you and I
Yeah.
want you to play basketball with us, and hear a little bit
Wow.
about Jesus on the side. Like, that was me, right? And God's like, you think too little of yourself. So that's always been kind of me and God's relationship is like, I need you to go here. I don't really understand why I'm there. I'm just being obedient in this space, but I'm going to hook you up with people that know more than you, more experienced than you, have
Yeah.
more resources than you, because I see your obedience can do something for the people around you, right? So that's just kind of always been how my life has gone. Like, little old me, we'll get into that later. But
Yeah.
But little old me, nah, I don't.
That's good.
I don't know how I end up in these rooms sometimes, but
God, it's
when
so
God
good.
opens a door and puts your name on the invite list, you getting in there.
It's pretty nice.
That's just how that goes. So
That is wild.
it's good to know the king because
It is.
You always got a seat at the table when you know the
Always.
king. So there you go.
Man, thank you for blessing us with that. That is, I did not know that. That's special. Don't ever forget that. That is
Hey.
special.
Yeah, it's crazy,
well-
man. It's crazy.
So Matt, you know, like,
Come on, Matt, fire us up.
woo.
Man, how do you follow that? Man, my story is not anywhere near, that. But senior year of high school, I go straight into Texas A&M, studying civil engineering. I'm like, man, I'm gonna be an engineer. I'm gonna get out of school, work in an engineering firm, start my own engineering firm. I'm gonna make a lot of money. That's kind of what I wanted to do. My grandpa, he worked for Shell for 35 years, dabbled in like the petroleum engineering world. My dad, he's a master electrician, did a lot of like project management for big companies, and he knew he was connected in that world. So he's like, man, you put an Aggie ring on with an engineering degree, I can get you
Anywhere.
anywhere.
Yeah.
Literally anywhere.
And that's facts.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen that.
It's crazy. Like,
Yeah.
Network.
that whole network is,
Yeah.
man, it's scary how powerful it is. It almost is.
A&M does it well.
A&M does it well.
Like, I've seen, like, I've never seen a university pull it off the way that they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I'm there for a year and I'm just like, man, just unsettled. Like something's not right. So I'm driving to Brenham, Texas, about 45 minutes. I had a friend that I went to school with. He's a youth pastor there. He just got this job and he's like, man, I could use some help. So I'm going down there and just like serving in a student ministry while I'm at A&M. And I'm talking to him and I'm like, man, I don't feel like this is where God wants me. And man, I have a dream that I'm not supposed to be there. I'm preaching on a stage. I wake up at like 2 a.m. I call my mom, 2 a.m. She answers the phone and she's like, are you okay?
Right.
And I'm like, I'm fine. And she was like, are you going to be a dad? And I'm like, why is that the question you're asking?
Wait.
That's the
All right,
first thing
we gotta,
Mom went to.
we gotta,
Thanks, Mom. Like,
oh, let me pull up the mercy
Yeah.
break on that one. Hold up. Wait.
like, what is,
Hold on. Wait.
First of all,
Mom,
you had a
wait.
dream.
Wait,
Yeah.
mom is like,
She's
I
like,
can't
are
even
you
get it
hurt?
out.
No. Are you gonna be a dad? No.
Oh man,
Why are you calling me? You know, like what,
Mom
what's
like-
going on?
it's 2:00 in the morning, and I'm just getting in.
Yeah.
Oh man, my son is about to be a papa. Man, that's funny.
Yeah.
but that's so real though, right?
Yeah,
You're like, I'm
that-
laughing, but I'm like, I know,
that's
yeah,
exactly.
yeah. Are you in
exactly.
jail?
Yes.
And is it a boy or girl?
And I'm like, first of all, Mom, like,
Yeah.
I've never given you any reason to ask any of those questions.
Right.
She
But
was ready for you.
Yeah,
though.
she
ready.
was like,
She
hey,
was
you in
ready.
college, you down at A&M, who knows?
Uh-huh.
You know?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So she answers the phone. You know, we go through that first little bit of dialogue, and then I'm like, hey, I'm coming home this weekend. I got to tell you and Dad something. So I go home.
Wait, so you didn't tell her over the phone?
No, I didn't. I
Oh,
was just
know.
like,
That
hey,
was
I need
that
to
had
talk
been
to you.
eating her up.
Yeah, so we get to the house that weekend. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna be leaving A&M, and I'm gonna be like pursuing ministry, going into Bible college. And my mom's first response was, yeah, I know that. And she's like, I knew that. I knew you weren't supposed to be an engineer. And my dad's like, how are you gonna pay the bills? Like, what?
Wait, hey, I love it. My mom's
great.
like, yeah, that's my baby. Dad's like, whoa,
Yeah.
hold on, that's my paycheck.
Yeah. Dad, like literally, my dad like pulls me like aside later, and he's like, "No, seriously, like,
He's like, stop playing.
do you know how much pastors make?" He's
oh
like,
man,
"Do you know how much youth pastors make?"
right? He's like,
Yeah.
like that is funny.
He's like, "Do you want things like anything?" I was like, "Dad, calm down, man."
oh man, I wish I could have been here,
A
been
fly
there
on the wall.
for that.
Yeah,
That is hilarious.
So that was like a couple year process. Honestly, my dad has just come around to the fact that like I'm okay.
okay.
Like he's just like 14 years into ministry. He's like, "Oh, you're okay.
Okay.
Oh, gotcha." So anyway, I go to Bible college. What's crazy is I go to Bible college in Waxahachie, Southwestern Assembly of God University, and I remember like, hey, my youth pastor growing up planted a church like up here somewhere.
That's super dope.
And so I literally find out that my youth pastor, Stephen Nutt, who's our lead pastor of Creekwood Church now, it planted a church in Mansfield. And man, I tried 5-6 churches, go up to Mansfield.
Let's put it in part.
Okay.
Here's what's gonna be cool. So what year was that?
This is 2009.
I met his pastor, 2007, started discipling me at a racquetball court with the senior pastor and executive pastor of this church that you're sitting in right now. Those 4 men started discipling me. So it was Pastor Stephen, actually would have been 3. So Pastor Stephen, Pastor Brad, and Pastor Keith Henderson.
Yep.
So in 2007, they started discipling me. I would say Keith and Brad were the ones that were more closer, but Stephen would come around, come to lunch and stuff like that. And so it's crazy, again, these kingdom connections.
Yep.
Like here he is in 2009. You're like, yo, like what's up? That's why I wanted to hear the story, because I'm like, man, how did this thing come full circle? All right, we can put it back in drive. Keep going. That's so cool.
Man, I get up here, try a couple churches, go try Creekwood out, which they were in Mansfield High School at the time.
Yes, sir.
And I mean, the second like I walk in the doors, I'm like, I want to be a part of this. And so, man, sat through service and was just like, hey, how can I serve here?
Hold on. So we were there at the same time.
Yeah,
Because I did not leave Creekwood until.
Slide. There's a picture of us on a couch in a field.
No way.
But I have like crazy long hair.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Are we doing this right now?
Yeah.
So there was a couch that used to be. Oh my god!
It was like
this
our
is so
thing. It was like we
wild.
saved a seat for
We
you.
saved a seat for you.
So we had this red couch that was on a billboard.
We're
like, all
on the
time.
same couch?
We're on the same couch.
This is crazy.
Yeah. Sly was just like the big,
They said
like
this story wasn't
ripped
going to
guy.
be good.
Wow. I know.
That's what they said. They said
Yeah.
this story wasn't going to be good.
You see how he did this? He was like, yeah, you know, my story's not going to be as good as this.
There's a red couch and a billboard involved, people. Like, come
Oh,
on now.
this is wild. I did not know that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, anyway,
You
like,
never said anything.
I mean, you've just always been around, and like, I've always known Sly. Sly was like Sly is just like the trainer of all of our executive pastors, like, especially like Pastor Brad, our like finance director and executive pastor. He's a big boy.
Yeah.
And he just always tells stories of Sly, like, yeah, oh, dude, Sly put me through this workout one time. Like, so like Sly, you're like kind of mythical even around like Creekwood. Like you're like legendary around Creekwood, just
Street
especially like
cred.
in the gym. Like we start talking about fitness or anything like that, it's like, oh, Sly. Let me tell you about my boy Sly. Like,
You know what's wild is that picture will never escape me, because in the season of transition, that picture that we were on, remember it was on 157?
yeah,
So it faced north.
yeah,
The church that God called me to, because he took me from Creekwood to Gateway.
okay,
He's bringing us, we're in Keller, brings us back to Mansfield. The church that we're on, their picture was facing south. And so me and that pastor were like, man, I've seen you somewhere. And so our pictures were facing each other. Yeah, it's just like, man, the Kingdom Connections is wild. But
wow.
I did not know we were on the same couch. This is like, I need to get that. I need to get that picture.
They're floating around somewhere. I know we've got like the digital copies, but there's like print material everywhere. Like for a while, that was like our membership class that we do.
Yeah, it was around forever.
It was on that. It was just everywhere.
Man, that is so wild. I did not know that we've been connected that long, bro.
No, I've got a picture on my phone. I'll show you later, where like we put a promo out somewhere, and it's like this big photo of that picture.
Okay.
And so I'm standing next to it, pointing at me, but you're on that picture.
That is wild.
Yeah, because
God
it was like
is so
right
good.
as I got to kind of the DFW area and got plugged in with Creekwood. This is probably 6 months after that. So
Okay.
like, I mean, baby face, long hair, absolute college kid Matt is who's on that billboard. And then Sly is like over there and he's just jacked, like, you know, Sly's
Some
over there.
things don't change.
Yeah, exactly.
Nah, hey, I was like 195 back then. I'm not that size anymore. I had to get rid of that. I had to shed some weight. Yeah, that was carrying a lot.
So anyway, man, I start serving, like literally I'm just serving. Like
Yeah.
I'm driving a taco truck. I would leave Waxahachie at 6 a.m. every morning.
Driving a taco truck.
On Sunday mornings, pick up a taco truck. That's where all of our kids' stuff was stored. And I would
Oh, yeah,
drive
yeah,
that
yeah,
taco
yeah,
truck
yeah,
to
yeah.
Mansfield High School and set up kids' church.
Right.
Kindergarten to 5th grade. And we would I would just run the sound and set up the projector and do
Dude,
those
this is
kind of
coming
things.
back to me now, because now I
Yeah.
remember a long haired dude.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I mean, Setup and Teardown was, I don't know if you ever been a part of
Oh,
Setup
man.
and Teardown, bro.
Oh, yeah.
But
Oh,
like,
man.
like
It's a thing.
That's where the real work happens.
That's where the work
Well,
happens.
here's what I know. If you are
That's
watching,
that's where you find out if you love ministry. or
I
not.
was just
Yeah.
about to say that
That's
if
it.
you are a if you want to be a church planter,
Yeah.
the Setup and Tear Down is going
I mean,
to
not
either
even
set
church,
you up and tear
not even
tear-
church planner. If you want to do ministry,
Period.
like you want to find out if you have a servant's heart.
Gum under chairs.
That's what I do with all of my young guys, all my young girls, any intern I have. The first assignment they have for the first 4 weeks, you're going to be set up and tear down the chairs.
Come on,
And if
Pipe
they can
and drape.
handle that,
and pipe and drape.
and pipe and drape, yeah,
Woo.
if they can handle that,
Yeah,
hey, you've got a future in ministry. If you struggle with that, like, hey, you've got some things God needs to work on your heart with.
but isn't this what David did?
Absolutely, absolutely.
So David gets anointed,
100%.
and he goes back to do what? Went back to serve.
Yeah,
Like he didn't get.
Lunch boy.
I mean, like he went back
All
to
that good
serve.
stuff.
yeah.
And so cool that I actually remember that now. Like that's something I remember is the Setup and Tear Down. And I remember somebody having long. I was like, man, we got some long hair, but yeah,
Dude, you know what it was? I couldn't afford a haircut. Like honestly,
College kid.
So
College kid.
I got
Yeah.
I got married a couple years after that in 2012, and I still had long hair. And there was a dad, and he's like, "Man, my son wants to grow his hair out." He's like, "You know, it's your fault." And I'm like, "Yeah." I was like, "I'll get it cut." He's like, "Well, why don't you get it cut?" I was like, "Man, I was like, haircuts are expensive." And dude showed up at my apartment later that night and handed me a check and was like, "Hey man, go get your haircut." I was like, "Dude,
This is getting good.
It was awesome." So like,
What? Yeah.
like the long hair was like not necessarily a fashion statement. It was
Right.
more of a necessity just in
Yeah,
life
yeah,
in
yeah,
general. At
yeah.
that point, it was like,
that is wild.
yeah.
Man.
So I started serving at Creekwood with no intention of being on staff. I'm just like, man, I just want to be a part. So I was serving kids, running sound and setting up projectors. One day they're like, "Hey, would you like to try to teach?" And I was like, "Sure." So I started teaching, and then we had a youth group that started in two of our pastors' homes here in Mansfield. And I would drive again from Waxahachie to Mansfield and we just started a youth group in a couple houses. And then a couple years later, we get a building, launch it. So that was 2009 when I started volunteering. By 2000 and the end of 2012, I became like full-time staff with them. And when I say full-time, it was your full-time work, part-time pay.
Right. Right.
Sounds
You're gonna
about
work
right.
200 hours.
Yeah. But it was crazy. Like it just and I tell people that all the time. Like I was kind of like unsure too. Like what am I gonna do?
Yeah.
Like honestly, like I led worship. That's what I used to do. And so I was thinking maybe worship ministry or something like that. And man, as I just started serving, God started showing me like, hey, I've given you these gifts. Communication was one of those. And so cutting my teeth in kids' church, learning to take complicated theological principles and make them simple.
Very simple. Come on.
Man, I did that for 8 years before I even touched the stage at
Okay,
Creekwood.
let's put it in park. So here's what I think those watching, because there are students. So like there's students in our youth ministry that are called and feel called to ministry. There are a lot of students at FCA that like we got massive leadership teams at different schools.
Yeah.
Something that I hope that you're hearing in this conversation with both Troy and Matt is that sometimes you may not know at all what God is going to do. That's okay. Be obedient and serve, all right? And what I love about your story, both of y'all's story, and this piece of yours is that you were in a posture of saying, Lord, you know what? I'm just going to, although I could lead worship, I'm just going to drive this truck and help unload, set up stuff, right? Although I do have the gift of communication, I'm just going to serve wherever you need me. And I'm not going to have an expectation that I am fully compensated for what most people would have for that role. And so if you're watching this, my prayer is that you are able to see that we're human and that, man, there's things that people haven't seen us go through, but they just look at where we're at right now.
Yeah.
And I've explained this to like my interns and some of the people I coach. I'm like, look, you have no idea how many times I had to set up and tear down stuff at multiple churches before I touched a mic.
Yeah.
Like I can relate to that because when I was at Word of Truth, I was the with Pastor Jonathan. So when we were in Seguin, all I did was unload a truck.
Yeah.
The first several months.
Yeah.
And then I went from unloading the truck to hooking up the the Mackeys and the the AV stuff. I didn't touch no mic. I didn't preach.
Yeah.
So I was just a volunteer.
Yeah.
Moved from volunteer to a unpaid intern, right? And then moved from an intern to the youth pastor's assistant. All right.
Faithful over a little.
And so like for years, I didn't start preaching until after year like 7. So I'd been there serving and interning, and the first time I preached was like year 7.
Yeah.
I didn't ask to preach.
Yep.
But so often they see us and they're like, oh, let me get on the mic.
You can't fast forward like the preparation that God's going to do in your life. I think too many people are like looking for the hey, how can I get the Amazon Prime version of this?
Ooh.
You know what I mean?
Whoa.
Like next day shipping.
Yeah.
Say that one more
Yeah.
time.
Run it back.
But like if you, again, like let's bring up David here.
Right.
I mean, theologians debate this, but like something like 40 years before he takes the throne after he's anointed.
Right.
But man, God prepared him all through that 40 years. I mean, being a shepherd boy in the field, like he was preparing for things that eventually God was going to put in front of him. And so,
And it's the what we would consider the minute,
yeah,
the gritty,
absolutely.
like
Absolutely.
a shepherd.
No,
It
like
is not the best job.
no, like shepherd is the worst job.
The worst job.
Worst job.
The worst
Because
job.
you have to understand. I think too often our students don't understand like the conditions of outside in the Middle East.
Bruh.
Like, do you really understand like outside in the elements with the animals? Because you can't leave them untended.
And you don't have work boots on.
There's
you
a
don't.
reason the youngest was tasked with that job.
Yeah,
Right. Hey, the brother was like, nah, bro. Nah, nah, I'm not.
You want to rock, paper, scissors this? No,
Right.
you
Yeah, we're not
lost.
even doing that.
No,
Yeah.
you're just going.
You're number what?
yeah.
Man, get out of here. Right? Yeah.
and he's like, this is the thing. Like,
And he had to do Uber Eats.
homeboy's got a slingshot and a staff. Like, they didn't even give him the good stuff
Yeah.
because he went to go give his brothers lunch.
Yeah. Uber
So
Eats.
they're they're soldiers, right?
Right.
They got stuff that they can, like lions and tigers and bears. Oh my, they got the swords and stuff. But David's out here with a slingshot. Like, I think too often in ministry, like we're waiting on the lights, the mic,
That's good.
the stuff
Yeah.
to do ministry with, and it's like, no, you're already being trained with the stuff that you have, and you just need to be humble enough to wait.
So this is wild because I could see, like, cause like you preached on Sunday.
Yeah.
So somebody could, depending on the season of life that they entered into, either Creekwood, watching online, they can be like, oh man, they have no idea.
No.
No idea that we was on a red couch together and this dude was just unloading the taco truck.
No clue. And I mean, you make such a good point. Like for David, like that field, no one was watching.
Nobody.
No one saw that.
Ain't nobody walking out there.
No.
Yeah.
So that's a very humble place to be. Like you're gonna be humbled very quickly out
Right.
there. But yeah, like that whole thing where he has this slingshot and lion and God, do you trust God? Do you trust him?
Yeah.
Do you trust him? So that when he does have Goliath in front of him, oh, I remember what God did. I can trust God. I can trust God for this.
Yeah.
And so he was never unprepared because he had God with him the whole time. I think that is the lesson I got to learn through, man, I'm going to go set up chairs. And sometimes, man, I was frustrated setting up chairs. Like,
But I think the dope thing about David's story too is like the things that turned around for him. Like, dude's on the run
yeah.
during those 40 years from Saul.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he has to hide in a cave.
Yeah.
Like, you have to be comfortable with that.
Yeah.
And I can imagine that this is not the first time that David's had to hide in a cave.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, if you think about, sometimes it's not a physical cave. It might be an
Right.
emotional cave. You know what I mean? And so, like, he's in a season where we could. Theologians haven't said this, but it could feel like rejection when your brothers are like, what? You just came over here to be messy, like you being petty, And David's like, no, man, I'm just here to serve, And so, like, looking at your story, some people can be petty and be like, man, like, how did you earn that?
Just the chair boy.
You friends with the pastor? Now, I'm not saying nobody said that, but I'm just,
Yeah,
you know what I'm
I
saying?
mean-
but it comes with the
Well,
territory.
I mean, even just like, dude, there were plenty of people that were at Creekwood that I'm like, they're way more qualified. Way more. Why have I been given this opportunity? But man, that's not always the qualified
Right.
that God is looking for.
Come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, man, I cut my teeth in kids ministry the first time I preached on a Sunday morning, it was 7 years into being on staff at Creekwood.
Come on.
And I had people come up to me afterwards and were like, I didn't even know we had a youth group here. Oh, I didn't know you were on staff here. Because I was in kids ministry.
Right,
like
right,
that was where I served.
Yeah.
So if you didn't have kids or
you wouldn't have known.
no one knew. It was just real funny.
Like, where'd this dude come from? They got the janitor up here speaking.
Right. I mean, they're just like,
But
I mean,
that's
you guys,
that's even cooler.
you know
though.
how it is.
You know
Like
what I mean?
if you're at a church and like they introduce a speaker and it's not the lead pastor, you're like, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, they
you
they
can see
they giving us leftovers
the
today.
tightening of people's,
I had a guy
demeanors
it
and
was like second or third time. Guy came up to me afterwards and he's like, man, when they said the youth pastor was speaking today, I was like, oh, great. He's like, but you did pretty good.
yeah.
That is hilarious. Yes, I can see that happen. Like
why tell me that?
Like we didn't know if we were gonna be speaking about
Are we playing games today?
Yeah,
What do we?
yeah,
Is there
yeah,
pizza afterwards?
yeah.
What are we doing?
right. Oh man, that is hilarious. So you're at 7-8 years. You get to speak main stage. We'll call it big church. Let's call it big church for the the super
We like that term.
saint people. Big church. He's in big church.
Yeah.
And so you're how many years in now? Right now at Creekwood.
So this is now in March. It'll be year 14.
Okay.
That I've been there, and man, just cranking away, loving it,
Love it.
loving it.
So we didn't do this, and I want to make sure we do this. So tell me about family, spouse. Like people need to know. Like, hey, we ain't just a bunch of bachelors up here.
Okay,
You know
so-
what I mean? Don't
so
be
I'm
coming for them because they ladies will. I'm telling you,
I got on a rubber
do it.
ring, but
Don't do it.
Don't get it twisted.
Same, man. The silicone is a game changer.
Hey.
It is.
We
But
in
that-
amazing.
That's a sign of a working man. Like,
right?
I got to put my hands on stuff. I don't have time for metal.
So married, how long?
So we've been together for 9 years now.
Okay.
We hit 9 years on the 31st of December last year.
Beautiful.
Married to my beautiful wife, Shanika. So
Shout out Shanika.
shout out to you. You'll see this. I'm getting ready to tell our story. You're not here. I usually tell it together with you, but I'm going to try and do it justice. Don't tell me I'm lying when I get home.
Didn't we just go through this the other day when y'all was outside, man? They were sitting outside trying to debate. I'm like, y'all need to figure this out.
But it's super dope though, okay?
Yeah.
So we met each other in college on the East Coast, actually at FCA. I helped to get FCA
Kingdom Connections.
Come on, baby, let's go.
helped to get FCA
Yes.
started at our little college, Chowan University. Shout out to the Hawks. And so we met my freshman year, her sophomore year, and she was just kind of like my friend. I was off doing some other things.
Like I ain't trying to change that.
Just wasn't really in the right headspace focusing, right? And so we have this conversation with each other after some Bible study on a Wednesday night on campus, and it's about having triangle relationships, kingdom relationships, right?
Okay,
And like
okay.
I had this thing where I was like, God, triangles. Okay. So who we getting together with? Right? And I'm praying to God and I'm like, I really do like Shanika. Like, I like her. Can we try this, Jesus? And so so we end up in the cafeteria together, right? And she'll tell you this. One of her friends is sitting at the table and she liked me too.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm sitting here, I'm spitting
By
game,
the
right?
way, I enjoyed this part. Just watch.
I'm spitting game, right? Spitting game to the wife, and I'm like, God has this thing where we need to lean on each other, make triangles.
Wait, did you say
What?
Did you say it like that?
Yeah, like it happens.
You
like
left this out the other night.
Check this out. This is really funny. This is really funny. Okay, so we have this conversation at the table, and she tells me later, like they were talking about me, and the friend thinks that I was talking about her, and my wife is like, I don't even like him, so God, you can't be talking to me, right? So turn around. Next Wednesday comes around, and we're in the worship service, right? And she thinks I'm following her around and all this good stuff. I'm like, man, I'm not following you around in a room the size of where we're doing this podcast. Like, I'm not following you around. So hit the end of the worship service, I walk over to her. And we had this previous conversation about, you know, relationships, and because I was having girl trouble and she's, you know, helping me work it out. And she says, you'll make a good husband someday. So I turn around this Wednesday night and I look at her and I say, so you don't want to marry me? You said I'd make a good husband.
Dang, boy, you was like
super super risque, right? But she says, you're going to do this the right way. Ask me to date you and we'll do this. We'll pray about it and do it. So our story is like, God put us together at FCA. We weren't thinking about each other at all. Have these hearts for ministry, and God just kind of pricked my heart and was like, hey, boy, you better jump on this because your wife is finna, you know, go off about her business because this godly woman is trying to do her thing. That's kind of our story.
And then 9 years later.
9 years later. I need to shout her out because we have been on this faith journey together and moving. So we moved to Orlando sight unseen after we graduated. I got a job down there. That was 2016. And then 2017, the Lord said, go to seminary in Texas. We moved again, sight unseen. Lord called again, 2021. We moved up here to Mansfield. And we had only maybe 2 connections up here.
Wow.
So I just need to shout you out, babe, that like students, you need to have someone who's going to partner with God first and then encourage you to follow along with God. Because if you're in a relationship with somebody who's thinking more about themselves and what they can hold on to, you're not going to get to where you need to be with God. Because God has called me and asked me to be flexible and asked her to do the same thing.
Wow.
So I think that like when we're talking about keeping it kingdom, like those partnerships with your family, your spouse, like y'all better be flexible. Like Abraham, like it might be go and you just don't know even where it is
At all. Yeah.
Like it's just, hey, buddy, the only thing I know about Baylor is RG3. That's the only thing I knew about Baylor.
I think that's the only good thing that's ever come out of Baylor.
Oh no, stop it.
I think so.
We've gone too far. It's a Texas A&M thing over here.
Oh,
okay?
Wow.
It's a Texas A&M
Well,
thing.
let's transition to Matt. I mean, that's a perfect segue. That's a perfect segue. I mean, and did you meet your wife at A&M? I mean, did you? You did?
No. We're high school sweethearts.
Okay. All right. Where'd y'all go to high school at?
We went to Humble High School in Humble, Texas. We are Wildcats through and through.
I don't know what that means, but okay.
After he just went to nothing good comes out of Baylor.
Yeah.
Humble, Texas. Humble
Texas.
High School.
Wildcat.
Humble.
Through and through.
Through and through.
Forever.
Yep, that's right.
Go ahead, Matt.
Class of 07.
How many people graduate from there? Like 5?
No, we were a big 5A before 6As were there. So my graduating class was 1,100. We walked 1,100 across the stage.
That's like a day and a half.
It was awful. We were in NRG Stadium where the Texans play. Literally,
H-Town.
Houston, Texas, baby. That's where we're at. So that's where we're from. Is Houston, but literally like 50-yard line to the end zone. That's how many chairs there were for my graduating class. It's ridiculous.
Hey, interns.
I think it took 4 hours to graduate.
If you want to really find out if you're really cut out for ministry, I think you should go over there to Humble, Texas, to their next graduation that has about 2,000 students in the graduation class for 2024.
Yeah.
And set up some chairs. And let's see if you're cut out for ministry.
There it is. What's crazy is we had like 1,500 in our class, only 1,100 walked the stage. So, not a lot of, a couple people didn't make it. So,
Well, maybe they was like, man, I'm not finna sit in this graduation for a day and a half.
Maybe they did it right. It's like 4 hours later.
Yeah.
We're like, and my last name is Stump. So,
I'm Stimley, so you at the end.
There,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah.
Like, it was like, are we I'm like, can I take a nap? Like, what are we doing? I should have brought something to eat. Like,
Wow.
it was a long time, but
I've never heard of that. I've heard of like
Yeah.
500-600, but I've never heard
dude,
of
it
that
was,
many.
and
That's painful.
yeah, it was awful. So anyway, we meet my sophomore year, or I say we meet. We met before that, but grew up in the same youth group. So Pastor Stephen was our youth pastor growing up, and so we've been together now longer than we've been apart. We've been married for 11 years.
Okay.
September will be 12. We just had our first baby. I've got a
Congrats.
9-month-old baby girl. Yep. Changed my life.
We had this conversation. I told you, like,
It's
when that
unbelievable.
Girls will do something to you.
It's so great. So
Woo.
I've got an amazing family. My wife is so supportive.
Wife's name, baby's name.
My wife's name is Sandy.
Okay.
My baby's name is Kirby. It's my wife's maiden name. And then her middle name is Lynn, which is my mom's middle name. So
Y'all
we
got
blended
creative.
the family.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's pretty cool.
Love it.
Yeah. So
Love it.
Yeah.
Man, that is, look, these kingdom connections, man, is wild. This is wild. And man, I'm grateful that I get blessed with this opportunity to be able to just hear more about your unique stories. And, you know, we've had an opportunity to do some things together here in the city. You know, you talked about FCA, and I feel like it's a good time to segue. But we've been able to just see what God has done through the partnership of our churches along with several other churches
Yeah.
in the area. And we continue to see hundreds and hundreds of students gather in the middle of the day for like 12 minutes to hear the good news. Wild.
Yeah.
We're not dangling carrots. You know, we even got to a point where we used to do games. We don't even do games anymore. We don't have to.
the space.
Like, it was just really, the games was really just the kind of, what do you call it? Kind of like the help with the transition. It wasn't really to dangle or to draw them in. It was really like, hey man, we're just gonna do these games just to kind of like help with the transition for those that don't know it, the importance of transition. Like Sunday mornings and even Wednesday nights, transitions are key.
Yeah.
Right. And so we would play games. There's times where there's not even snacks. Like we used to have donuts, and then we went from donuts to like fruit snacks, and now sometimes we don't even have snacks, and they don't care. They still show up. Mansfield averages 300.
Crazy.
Started out
amazing.
with 5.
It's amazing.
They average 300. Legacy averages 300.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's amazing.
Summit averages 225, something like that.
Yes.
Like this is wild.
Yeah.
Tell me, tell us, you know, just kind of from your perspective, because I know that I get to serve through FCA, but from your lens as a youth pastor, as one of the community, as somebody that has grown up in ministry, been around ministry for a while, can you just share with those that may be watching this, maybe it's another youth pastor somewhere else that's considering getting connected to like a FCA, a Young Life, a First Priority, because there's a lot of organizations out there that I support. I'm like, yo,
Yeah.
the more the better.
Yeah.
But from your position, could y'all just speak into what you've seen God do and how it's had maybe an impact on, whether it's had an impact on your ministry or maybe just on you in general? You know, could y'all speak to that and what you just, and again, it doesn't just have to be FCA, but just ministries on campus, like the impact of that stuff.
You want me to go first? Okay. I was thinking about this coming over and what kind of distinguishes Mansfield's kind of ability to cooperate with each other. I think it's a concern for just having a ministry of presence. Nobody's concerned with who wins.
Okay.
The student.
Here we go.
Like,
Hold on. Put it in part. You just said my word. Ministry of presence.
yes,
Had an
sir.
opportunity to go to CFNI and speak to future youth pastors. And Ken Butler, who y'all know,
Shout out to Ken.
me and Ken, like, we are like, that is something when we got, like, when he said, hey, will you come on board? I was like, yo, like, can you tell me a little bit more about what's the goal?
Yeah.
Because it's easy to convert, to get people to raise their hand.
Absolutely.
But something I'm passionate about is what your pastor did, and that's discipleship.
Mm-hmm.
And you can only disciple people if you're present.
Yeah.
And when you think about a ministry of presence, I see a mop, M-O-P.
Mm-hmm.
And if there is mess, which discipleship requires stepping into the mess,
Yes, it does.
you got to have a mop. And you can have a mop, but in order to get it clean, there has to be water.
Mm-hmm.
And what did Jesus use to clean the feet of those that betrayed him and denied him? He was the mop.
Mm-hmm.
He was the water. And so often we try to do ministry without being present. Mm.
Yeah, you can't. You can't. I think it has been being present. I think it's been the concern for each other. Like, if you want to help people to care about their city, you have to care about people.
That's good.
So I feel like on the East Coast, I was part of FCA, and it was great, but it was isolated, you know? But it was because I feel like people weren't able to put down their agendas in order to move forward together.
Mm.
And I feel like, you know, it's just been a testament to the prayer lives, the kingdom awareness, and just the concern for the students here with the people who are working with FCA and working with other organizations in the city, to just be able to say, I'm here to help you. However you need to be helped is how I'm going to help.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to walk in there and flash your badge and bring your threefold pamphlet that we all have, our QR codes, and say, here's my event, come here.
Yeah. Right.
It's harder to say to a student, what kind of day have you had?
Mm.
Who's the person that cares about you? Have you talked to them?
Right.
And if you don't have someone who cares about you, then I can step in and be that for you until, here's the big thing that I feel like is different in Mansfield, until I can get you to the appropriate person to help you.
Come on. That's good.
Because that's really the difference here is if you live by TCAL, why not go to TCAL?
Right.
If you live by Creekwood, why not go to Creekwood?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense for you to drive past these good people that I know to come to my church when you have this resource available to you right there.
That's good.
So I feel like it's been strategic planning that way. The people who go to the different high schools actually are in that area, right? So it's not us driving in and just dumping on the students.
Yeah.
It's us actually spending the time to care and be consistent with them within our own circles.
Yeah.
So we can lean on each other and actually do more than what we would be able to do on our own.
That's good.
So
That's good.
Yeah.
Matt?
Man, I think the coolest thing about FCA here in Mansfield and how churches work together here in Mansfield, number one, like I think youth pastors and pastors in general, there's a lot of insecurity which keeps us from working with other churches and other pastors. So it's like, I don't want to show you my weaknesses, my faults, maybe some things that maybe there's some things I don't know as much as you do. And being vulnerable in front of your peers
Right.
can be intimidating. You know, like we know that in high school, but that's still very real in the adult world.
Right.
That doesn't go away. So the fact that we've been able to break those walls down a little bit and be like, hey, we recognize that and it's okay.
Yeah.
Man, there's a level of trust now in our city where, like you were saying, Troy, like, man, yeah, you live over by you guys, like, go there because I trust you.
yeah.
I go to TCAL. I trust you.
Yeah.
We don't care where you go.
Just go
We want you to
somewhere.
go to church.
Yeah.
We want you in the body somewhere. And there's so many great churches in our area and great pastors in our area that love people and they love God. And we're like, hey, let's go there. And so that's been powerful. But the second thing, and I think this is the most powerful thing, student ministry for so long has been like event driven or hey, come to us.
Yeah.
But what's more powerful to say to a student than we'll come to you?
Come on.
And I think that's the power of being on campus,
Work it
FCAs. Like, don't we see that with Jesus?
Come on.
Like, he didn't just go, I'm going to post up in Jerusalem. Hey,
Y'all
everybody,
come
come on and hear this word. He traveled.
Yeah.
Man, Paul, when he was establishing the church, he traveled. Like, that's what they did. They went where the people were. Where are teenagers at?
Come on. That's cool.
They're in school, man. Like,
all day long.
so for us to go, hey, we're not just saying like, hey, come on out to us, come on out to the church, come on out to our event, but hey, we're going to actually come out to you. Man, what a statement to make, especially today.
That's good.
And I think that's been such a big win for us.
Man, that's good. That leads into the scripture that I've been wrestling with. Check this out. If y'all want to turn there with me. So this is 1 Corinthians 12. Man, it's one body, many parts. One body, many parts. 1 Corinthians 12 and then verse 12. The human body has many parts, but the many parts make up one whole body. So it is with the body of Christ. Let's just stop there.
Mm-hmm.
Like one thing that I love, kind of like what both of you all are saying, is that we're in such a critical time. That if I try to operate solo or silo, then really it's almost like being a dislocated shoulder trying to bench press or bicep curl. Now, I might be able to move it, but I'm not effective.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we all are the body of Christ. You may be the foot, you may be the bicep, I may be the ankle, whatever it is.
Clearly, you're the bicep Sly. Like
See, I was
right. Like
I was literally trying to navigate around. I'm like
the smallest
so
guy here.
I'm
the
thinking,
bicep,
I'm like,
I appreciate the gesture there,
Man,
but like, clearly,
I was trying to go around it. I'm like, I'm gonna walk myself in this trap. I'm like, man, okay, maybe I can get by this one.
No, you're with youth pastors.
Yeah,
Man,
I know.
come on.
I know. I was like, I tried though.
This low hanging fruit is
That's why I was like,
so
man,
easy.
I'm an ankle, you know? like, no, you're not. No, you're not. But man, I think it's so cool that, we are in a very unique time. I don't know if there's another city that can say that they're reaching almost 3,000 students.
I pray that there are.
Yeah.
I do too.
But if there is not, let's talk.
There's
about
hope, right? And like we are modeling this, and that's why I love that we have the relationship. I can call you up and say, "Yo, can we jump on the pod?" Because there's other people with larger churches that are like, "How are y'all?" Because what they are saying, some of these people that I've run into is they don't care about the numbers.
Yeah.
They want the impact.
That's
like,
right.
Man, how are you all able to have these healthy relationships with churches, youth pastors with youth pastors, pastors with pastors that have insecurities, that also understand how to work as one body of Christ? And so, like, I am thankful that we have an opportunity here in the Mansfield, Arlington area to keep it kingdom by saying, Lord, every single day, we're going to die to ourselves.
Well, Troy said it perfectly. Like, there's no agenda.
No agenda.
And I think, I don't know if you guys are seeing this. Like, man, teenagers sniff out agendas right now so quickly. And they're so done with it.
Yeah.
Like, if they find out you have an agenda, they're like, I'm out.
Yeah.
I don't want to be a part of that.
Yeah.
But what's been amazing in return with that has been like this, man, there's a hunger right now in this generation for truth.
Yeah.
And a hunger for Jesus, because they're like, there is no more pure agenda than his.
Yeah.
And so they're running from all the other agendas that are being presented to them in culture.
Right.
And they're like, hey, I don't want to be a part of that. So can somebody tell me, like, how do I survive? How do I do this life? Is there something better? And we're like, yeah, there is.
Yeah.
There's a better option.
And his name is Jesus.
His name is Jesus.
Yeah. Let me read this other part. I'm going to jump down, and this is wild. So, I'm going to read it all. So, 13. Some of us are Jews, and some are Gentiles, some are slaves, and some are free. but we all have been baptized into one body by one Spirit, and we all share the same Spirit. Yes, the body has many parts, not just one part. If the foot says, I am not a part of the body because I'm not a hand, that does not make it any less part of the body. If an ear says, I am not a part of the body because I am not an eye, would that make it less a part of the body? If the whole body were an eye, how would you hear? Or if your whole body were an ear, how would you smell anything? Here's the part that I want to jump into, 18. But our bodies have many parts, and God has put each part just where he wants it. God has placed you in the season that he has placed you, Troy, because he knew how he wanted you to be connected to the body of work that is going on here in Mansfield, Texas.
Amen.
Matt, he brought you full circle back to your youth pastor for us to, years ago, sit on the same couch to tell people that you have a seat here, for me to be discipled by those pastors along with the pastors here at TCAL, like he has placed us all in a specific season for a specific reason, and that is so that we can play a part of the body. We all play a part. And so, man, this is so good. You got some, man. I feel like you chewing on something. I feel like you.
Man, I've been studying Matthew 25 recently, the parable of the talents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting that it says that he gave each one to his own ability.
Right.
People always struggle with, why did he give 5 and 2 and 1?
Right.
Yeah.
And
Always. That is.
Jesus is like, he gave to his own ability. And so what that says to me, one, a talent it's a measure of weight. It's not just money. It's not like it's denarii, right? It's one talent would have been like, I think it's like 12 years or something like that of money.
Wages,
so
yeah.
even the one was significant. So
Yeah.
everybody has been given something.
Something.
Everybody has. But to look at the body and go, I don't want to be a foot. I want to be the mouth.
Wow. Wow.
I think we struggle with that. And Jesus is like, man, I've given you the gift based on your ability because of my grace.
That's good.
Because I know what you can handle, because I know what you can do through me. And understanding that we all have a role, we all play a part, and all of us have been given something significant because of the grace of Jesus.
That's good.
So I love this, man. I think it's huge.
It's wild when I hear you say that. It's so profound that so often we want to be the thing that sounds the loudest,
Shiny.
that could be amplified, and we miss the impact of how that actually can be carried.
Yeah.
Like the foot, and I don't want to get off on a tangent on this. So there was a year that I got cut from arena football. I had an injury prior to that. An elevator, I was standing in an elevator moving a pallet, and the pallet was only on one of the forklifts. So the forklift ended up hitting my metatarsals, which are basically like these bones right here in your foot, right? And so I did not realize the value of the foot until I started going through rehab.
That's right.
And I think sometimes we despise
Yeah.
the thing that's unseen, the thing that's the furthest away from, like when you look at someone, you don't really look down at their feet to say, man, how's your foot doing?
I tell my young guys this all the time, especially like those trying to go into ministry. You have to do the things you don't want to do so that you can do the things you want to do.
Right.
The things that are unseen, the stuff that you're like, man, I don't want to send this email. I don't want to organize this spreadsheet. I don't want to set up these chairs.
Right.
Like, I don't want to do that. How are we going to have service? How are we going to do that? How are we going to prepare this room? How are we going to communicate to people that need to be communicated to? You do the things you don't want to do so that you can do the things you want to do. And I think that goes hand in hand with the body of Christ. Like, man, I would have loved to have just been like, hey, oh, Matt, you graduated from Bible college? Yeah. Here you go. Here's your pastor license.
Right.
Here's your influence. Here's your title.
And here's a
you can
microphone,
do whatever
too.
you want. Yeah. And here's a microphone. But that's not how it worked.
Right.
We don't see that in Scripture.
We don't.
We don't see that played out. Like, it's just not how it works. And so,
And in fact, if we think about the influence that Paul had, he's on the road to Damascus, has this encounter, right? His friends see. So there's oh my word, this is wild. You open up something. Woo. So Paul has the ability to influence people before he even starts to really go on this preaching campaign.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It was his walk.
Mm-hmm.
You never know who's watching.
People saw his walk, his transformation, and his external change before they heard him even preach. How often do we miss? I was just telling Robbie this. I'm like, man, I think we do a great job of, get saved, and then we stop.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, what about the next step?
Yeah.
Get baptized. And then we stop.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what about the next step? Get in community. And then we stop. It becomes a click.
Yeah.
How about in community, we grow in discipleship, and then we go and evangelize.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so Paul models this. He's like, look, I don't know what happened. I ain't ate in a couple days. I can't see, like, my life ain't the same. And he, in front of those friends, those guys that were there, they were able to see. They didn't quite know everything that was going on, but they seen his walk change.
Yeah.
They seen his feet go a different path than what he was going before. They seen that he not out here persecuting people anymore.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't talking about, I'm not going to persecute people. He was transformed from the inside out before he started preaching.
Mm-hmm.
I think the significant thing about Paul's story, though, if you back up, is that the thing that enabled him to get to that point was Stephen.
Oh, yeah. You're watching Stephen get murdered.
Watching someone sacrifice in order to just give Paul the chance.
Come on.
And I think that's if I could sum up the way Mansfield is doing ministry, is we're okay with being the one that's sacrificed to get these students to the opportunity to accept Jesus and go forward.
Yeah.
And I think, like, some of our problem and the solution is die to yourself.
Come on. There it is.
If we might just die to ourselves every day and be willing to be the one that has to touch the gum under the chair, or be the one that has to deal with the student that's going to the alternative school, or be the one that has to
Wait. You mean as youth pastors we have to do that?
Yeah. I mean,
but nobody, the interns, sometimes they don't see that.
it's a misconception.
They
man.
don't see when in the morning, when you're getting ready to leave the house, you got to change your agenda. They don't see the phone call. Like a lot of people don't see that. Just give me a mic.
Yeah.
Give me a pulpit.
Yeah.
And allow me to preach. No,
Speaking is 5% of this job.
bro,
I mean,
I
maybe
would say
not
it's
that.
even less than
Maybe
that.
not even that, right?
come on.
Like, it's just not. Like, man,
Talk about it.
it's just not. Like, we are way more useful when we're with people
Yeah.
than we are when we're behind a microphone in a pulpit.
Yeah.
We just are.
It's better if you die. I always said it's better if you
It
die.
really is.
It's better if you die. It's easier,
To live is Christ, to die is gain.
Come on. Speak.
Right? Like, that's like what a picture. What a picture of what it looks like to follow Jesus.
Right.
And that's hard.
It is.
I mean, studying the New Testament, the word sin in the New Testament, like 95% of the word sin in the New Testament can be translated in the original language as selfishness. 95%. The entire
of our problem is
Sermon
us.
on the Mount, Jesus is like, how's your heart? How's your heart?
Yeah.
How's your heart?
Yeah.
How's your heart? How's your heart? And he goes through a ton of things like adultery and all these things, right? The Beatitudes. But the whole time he's pointing back to the heart.
Yeah.
What's your motivation? Like, die to yourself. Die to yourself. Yeah. It's not about you.
It's not.
It's not about you.
It's better if you die.
It's better if you die. Way better if you die.
Man, so good. So good. So we have, as we're talking about this, there's things at risk, right? That there's lives at risk. I love youth ministry. Like I know I'm kind of aged, but I don't, man, it's just something. Youth ministry is different.
Yeah.
Like it is in the season that students are in, they're like you said, they want transparency.
Mm-hmm.
They want authenticity.
Yep.
They are tired of this fake stuff.
Yep.
Yes.
And man, I love to get the opportunity to minister to students and to really have an opportunity to disciple them. They're on fire. What would you say? I would say as we transition and get ready to land this plane, if you were talking to youth pastors, let's start with that one first, because there are college kids out there that are in college that will watch this. Our viewers are global. Like we're finding they're everywhere, right? We're not doing this to become popular. I've sat down with college students, high school students, and they've asked several questions, which is how we kind of come up with, our agenda, and they just want to know. And, and so if you were speaking to a college student at your former college or even at some of the local ones around here that are thinking about getting into ministry, what is something that you believe that they need to know? I feel like we've kind of already talked about it, but what's one thing you want to lead them with? And then we'll go to the high school students as well. What's something you want to leave these college students like, man, I want to go into ministry. I want to be a pastor. I want to be a preacher. I want to be a worship pastor. I love ministry. Just sign me up and give me a microphone or give me a chair. Let me set up chairs, or I want to come work. Matt, Troy, I want to come work for you when I graduate. Can I be an intern this summer? What's something that you could give them as wisdom to help them understand what's at risk and maybe what they should start chewing and meditating on as they are trying to make this next step, maybe pursuing ministry?
Okay, I got you.
I mean, man, what a question.
Two things. Accountability, secret devotion. If you want to be in ministry, you better get you some accountability now.
Here we go.
And you better have a set time every day where you are in secret devotion.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. That's so good.
So,
That's so good.
Okay.
That's so good.
Like, if you don't have an alarm on your phone is going to control you.
But let's talk about the accountability.
Yeah, let's go there.
Because
Let's do it.
I'm not going to just say this is next generation. I'm just going to say people in general don't like accountability. So when you say accountability, are you talking like a mentor? You talking about like somebody that's going to hold me accountable?
No. See, here's the problem with our posture towards mentoring. There's no submission there.
Oh,
you're taking
I thought he was
information.
landing the plane. This dude then took back off.
I'm sorry. This is my passion because
Okay, all right. Y'all listen close.
We have peers, right?
Yeah.
And you can see the fall before it comes,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah.
The accountability piece is so much deeper than just mentoring. Like, you have to yield to someone and have them be able to say to you, "You're wrong. Let's get this together."
Yeah, I think I'm going to leave this room right now.
Man,
Like, you. Shout out to my boy Matthew Davis. Like, he can call me and ask exactly what's going on in my house, and I have to tell him that because we've agreed to that.
yeah.
Right? Charlie Ramsey, still at Baylor. If he calls me right now and asks me if I'm watching porn, I'm going to tell him whether or not I'm watching porn.
Accountability.
I know there may be students watching this, but like,
Yeah. No.
We just cut and dry here.
Yeah.
so-
There's no guardrails on this.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Like, you if you don't have someone that's able to confront you, then you're given on to your own understanding of right and wrong. Wow. You are. You're now in the book of Judges. Everyone does what's right in their own eyes.
Man.
If you don't have accountability, that's where you are.
So if you're thinking about getting into this ministry thing, I know we talked about the chairs, but we've went past the chairs now. We went past the setup and tear down. Now we're talking accountability and devotion.
I mean, I think that's been so true in my life.
Yeah.
If I'm not willing to submit to authority in my life here, what I found is that I have an issue with the authority God has in my life.
Wow.
So like it's so like what we play out here on this earth
Yeah.
is such a reflection of our hearts with God.
Come on, that's good.
Right? So what was scary for me is like authority was something I always struggled with. I did. Like, like I'm a leader.
You want me to submit to you?
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Like so,
Practice? Talk about practice?
exactly.
Yeah.
Submission?
Right.
Who you think I am?
But man, like in my quiet time, through God's word, the Holy Spirit would whisper, hey, you know that authority issue you have with that person, that leader, you also have that with me.
Wow. That's good. That's good.
And like, man, you talk about like having to work through something like that. That's huge. That's huge.
So this is just how God speaks to me. Submission, accountability, devotion. When we don't have it, it's sad.
Yeah.
Oh, it's destructive.
You're reckless.
And unfortunately, it just leads us down a path of darkness.
100%. Always.
Right? Because
Life becomes about you.
I was
Your
just
life
about to say, like,
becomes
it's more inward.
useless.
Yes.
Useless.
Yes. You eventually get there. And you could avoid that if
Yeah.
you have submission,
Yeah.
if you have accountability, and you have the devotion
Yeah.
all day long. So good.
Man, for me, my advice would be simple. It's something my pastor taught me. Hey, the first like 10 years of your ministry, you're going to think you know everything and you know nothing. And so in light of that, hey, when you go into a room as a young person in ministry, just be a sponge. Don't say anything.
Come on. That's good.
Just listen. And look to provide solutions. Don't look to point out problems. Anybody can point out a problem.
Say it again. Nope.
It's so easy to point a problem out, right?
Say it again. Say it again.
Super dope.
Look for solutions. Don't just point out problems. I think the most frustrating thing as a leader is when my team just comes to me pointing out problems, and now the weight of that problem is on me
Right.
to solve.
Yeah.
What I want on my team are people who are problem solvers. And so
Problem solvers that understand that it should still fall under the vision of the house.
always.
Jesus, these
Always.
people are hungry. Excuse me, you feed them.
You feed them.
Right.
You feed them.
And I've been saying feed like it
You feed them.
nothing
Absolutely.
changed.
Be a problem solver. All we got is this little boy, 2 fish and
Serve.
loaves.
Just go serve.
Yeah.
Check your heart and go serve.
Yeah.
That's it.
Oh, pastor doesn't want to do ministry this way. Worship team only sings old songs. They won't give us a budget, or they won't let us do this, or hey, those are going to be scenarios played out in every single church. I don't care how big it is. I don't care how big the budget is.
And it's not just church. So like I had to
100%.
I had to fall under that submission when I started working with FCA.
Absolutely.
Because I was already out and check this out. I
Even
was
in the
out-
secular world, that's going to be real.
I was out in the schools as a motivational speaker in some of the schools in Mansfield before I connected to FCA.
Right. Right.
So there's pictures where I was at Summit standing where you stand back in 2007
Yeah.
with my nonprofit that I started to do motivational speaking without scripture. But when I submitted to FCA, I had to understand I had to come in alignment with the vision of the house.
Yeah.
And I struggle with that. And God was like, hey. I was like, yeah, yes, sir. He's like, you gotta die. What do you mean? Like, that needs to die.
But Sly, like, can you talk about the fact that like we don't understand that it's not even our pastor's show?
Absolutely, man.
Because he submitted.
Like I think that's the biggest thing that we struggle with when we're young in ministry is like, I want my own show. Like, do you really understand that this is not?
They don't want it.
All those pastors that have their own show, how's that going for them?
Oh,
Right.
it's real bad.
It's not good.
Oh, yeah.
It's real bad.
Yeah.
It's not
yeah.
good.
It's
Yeah.
real bad.
Yeah.
It's not great.
Yeah. You don't want, they don't know
We're not here to make ourselves famous.
It's not.
The word in the Bible is real harsh from Jesus.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
He's not nice about
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
things. So
And yes, I think we've gotten into a place in culture where it is me.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, like he'll tell you if I'm on deck to speak, I'm like, hey, we finna like, because it's not like for me. There's mornings I'm spending 2 or 3 hours with a student. I don't need I don't need the mic.
Yeah.
So if you are a college student, hey, submission, accountability, devotion, go into a room and be a sponge,
please.
right? Go in and go with the thought process of, I want to learn. I've come to sit. I've come to see. I've come to learn. Because between the three of us, I mean, this is probably 30-something years of ministry experience. Mm-hmm. I can say, like, I still take that posture.
Absolutely. Always.
And it's gotten me, it's helped me out a lot.
Yeah.
I try to pour salt on myself
Yeah.
before I walk into a room. Let's go ahead and die now, buddy.
Humility,
don't wait till you
man.
get there. Yeah, don't wait till you get there. Die now.
Humility is a hard lesson to learn.
It is.
Questions, not statements.
That's right. When you love the sound of your own voice too
Yeah.
much,
I'm asking.
Yeah.
that's
I'm
a
not
sign.
saying.
Yeah,
That's a sign,
it
right?
is. It is.
Hey, Sly, let me ask you a question.
Okay.
For the youth pastors that are watching, that are like, how do we do this in our city?
Mm.
What would you say to them? Like, hey, here's some practical steps to take to get this started.
Make some phone calls. Like, put your pride down, because you're not that important. I'm saying it in a nice way, but actually it's biblical.
It is.
You can actually find it. You're not that important.
The facts.
And
we
when I
think more highly of ourselves
Man.
than we
Than
ought
we
to.
ought.
And so,
man.
like, seek the kingdom first for me was like, let me just make a phone call,
Yeah.
right? We met at Flying Squirrel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've kind of known each other. Like, hey,
Yeah.
I got all the youth pastors at Market Street. Like, yo, can we just come
Well,
together?
and set some ground rules. Like, we never talk about numbers within our student
We don't.
ministries.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, there's no reason to.
We don't.
That doesn't
Like,
matter.
Yep. We came together.
You can
we-
talk about names.
Yeah.
Don't talk about numbers.
Yep.
No reason to.
Yes.
So
Yes.
right off the bat, you can like shave some of that insecurity off.
Yeah.
Right. It's like,
Yeah.
how you doing?
Yeah.
The first thing out of like a lot of youth pastors' mouths when you say that is like, oh, last night we had this many. You're like, no.
Doesn't matter.
How are you doing?
Right.
So I think that's huge, man.
Yeah.
Like make some phone calls.
Yeah, make some phone calls. And I think for me, it was nitty gritty, but it was worth it though. Right. So
Yeah.
I was like, yo, can we meet up? I mean, because you're talking about within our area, I probably had to meet with 14 pastors.
Yeah.
The very first year, right? It was 14. In that room, I don't know if you remember, but when we sat down at Market Street,
Yeah.
I mean, it was like 14 of us, right?
Right.
And so I'm having to
Right.
meet with each one. And
Yep.
then like, hey, this is there's no agenda. I just want to see if I can get us all in the same room.
That's right.
And the goal is just to communicate the opportunity.
Yeah.
Because the door was open. The school district said, hey, as long as you follow these 3 rules, and I talked about that at the
That's
meeting. I was
right.
like, hey,
Yep.
this is what they told us.
Yep.
Can we all get in alignment and say, we'll follow these 3 rules,
Yep.
and we're not going to go post up a flag at the school and say, this is my territory. They're going to let us come in and do what we're supposed to do, which is share the gospel.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so I met with each youth pastor. We got in a room, and then I was like, hey, this is what we got coming up. We're going to feed teachers. We're going to do this. There'll be opportunities to do character coaching. There'll be opportunities to go on campus during advisory, something unheard of at 10:30 in the middle of the day and share the gospel to like, a couple students. Because in the beginning, I was like, look, I can't guarantee you if there's going to be 5 and so then
Be
people would
faithful.
start. Yeah. So then people would see like, this is legal? Yeah, it is. Right?
This is legal?
Yeah. And so make phone calls first.
Yeah.
But again, don't have an agenda. Don't go into it with like, because for me, I had to also navigate this being connected to a church as a youth pastor and on FCA.
Absolutely.
So I had to say like, look, this is not about me
So
going
people
in.
were sniffing you out as much as you were sniffing them out.
Yeah,
Right. Absolutely. So build relationships.
absolutely.
Just get to know the pastors in your area.
Absolutely.
Build relationships, and then once the relationship is established, then you can start setting some expectation.
Yeah.
But focus on that. I think that's huge, man. I think that's why Sly is such a great leader in this city. Is the first thing that you always have done, Sly, is like you build a relationship before you're like, hey, here's our 3 rules.
Right.
Here's what we're gonna do. Here's where we're gonna go. It's like, hey, man, I want to know you.
Yeah.
How you do? How's your family? Tell me about your family. How long you been doing that? You know, like the relationship was such a huge part in opening this thing up.
Yeah.
So I think if you're gonna take anything from that, like follow the model Sly's put out, is just focus on the relationships first.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
huge.
Yes. Kingdom mindset, baby.
Kingdom mindset.
Kingdom connections, kingdom relationships, kingdom impact. And that's really, me and Ken have talked about it. Like, how do we, there's really no manuscript to write because it just starts with, first I got to have a kingdom mindset, which means I have to die to myself. This is not about me. This is not the Sly Show, right? I'm not that important. And I cannot change the city by myself. I was never called to change the city by myself.
Right.
I was called to go and make disciples who make disciples. So that means I have to do this in community.
Yes.
But I also, before I have community, I got to have connections.
Yeah.
And so I had to go make connections.
Yeah.
And the connections led to relationships to where I know if you're married, if you have kids, like, you know, I know these things, right? And then that leads to us all being able to have a kingdom impact.
Right.
And again, it's not about if we go to a school, how many of those students are actually going to come to your ministry, or let's say if I show up to a campus, if we all show up to a campus and a student from your ministry connects with me, no, I'm telling them, no, stay at your school. I just went and spoke at another church's student weekend, and I said, let's make this clear. I don't want to see you at my church. I don't want to see, like, you are at the church you're supposed to be at right now. If God tells you to go, that's a whole nother ballgame. But don't come because you were moved by me speaking. I'm not that important.
Yeah.
I am not that important.
Yeah.
Stay right where you're at. This is the church you're supposed to be at. This is the youth pastor you're supposed to be under. And this is the church you're supposed to serve. Stay here.
But I think that Sly, you're not gonna say it for yourself, but I'm gonna say it for you. Showing up for other people is what helps people work together. Like you showed up for me. I've only been here, it'll be year 3 now, but Sly's been to my church. Sly's called me when I need stuff, right? And like that makes the difference. Like there's trust there now.
Yeah.
Sly can call me and say, "Oh, we need you to fill in," and Sly knows I got him.
Yeah.
Same thing, vice versa, right? Like y'all were on a couch with each other before. Like I think
We were standing, by the way.
Word. Yo, I was on the end, right?
Yeah, you were.
Yeah, I was on the end.
You were there.
Yeah, I was on the end.
up
Yeah,
there.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
we were
Yeah.
on a couch. Like that sounded weird a
Yeah,
little bit.
yeah, we had to clarify. You know, hey, we're in 2024. It's 2024. We got to clear this up. Hey, yeah. Make sure we get a disclaimer out there.
There were, yeah.
Yeah, thank you for clearing that up because you know that was years ago, but still
in ministry
2024.
together.
Yeah.
That's the first time I ever heard that and was like, oh man, that
Yeah, that could have went south.
That's open for interpretation
They
there.
would clip us up. They'd have us clipped up. Man. That is hilarious. Yeah, good catch.
Yeah, but man, yeah, that's the difference, man. You show up for people, they'll show up for you.
yeah.
Man, I love y'all, man. Y'all are awesome. Yo, hey, well, check this out. Look, I think we're going to land this plane right here. This is a good spot. Don't forget, keeping the kingdom is not just a saying, it's a lifestyle because kingdom mindsets lead to kingdom connections and kingdom connections lead to kingdom relationships, which always have kingdom impact. And so I just pray that this time with my brothers here blessed you. And I'm just looking forward to just seeing what else God has and he's going to continue to do here in the area. And look, check these guys out. Troy's at Bethlehem. Tell them where you're at. Tell them how to find you. Give them social. Give them, because again, it's not just about one individual. They might need to be connected to your youth ministry, your church, you as an individual. So how can they reach you where you're at? Let's give them that, and then we'll close out.
Bethlehem Baptist Church. We're at 1188 West Broad Street in Mansfield, Texas. You can find us on all social media platforms. Bethlehem Baptist Church Mansfield. And if you need to just connect with us, just give us a call, man. We're around, man.
Yeah, he has a interesting, what is it, Lion something?
Oh, Instagram.
on
My
IG.
personal
His
Instagram
personal,
is Lion the Pink.
Right.
That's a whole nother story for a whole nother.
Yeah, we're not talking
whole
about that
nother
right
thing,
now, so
man.
we're gonna leave that alone.
Leave that alone,
Yeah,
man.
we're gonna leave that alone.
I got a whole album out on Spotify,
Yeah.
but anyway, whatever.
Matt Stumpf, I'm the next gen pastor at Creekwood. So I get to work with all of our teams under the age of 18. Creekwoodchurch.com. We're off of 260 Miller in Mansfield.
And
We have a new campus coming off of 1187, which is going to be amazing, launching later this year. We're currently under construction with that.
be in prayer for them.
Absolutely.
Support, partnership.
Huge thing. I have social medias. I am not on them. I do not use
you're
them.
not.
So if you reached out on those,
He's not
I'm
gonna
sorry. But
You can reach
always,
to me, like,
yeah,
I'll text
Or
him for you. He's
it-
not gonna respond
same
on
thing,
social media.
Same thing Troy said. Like, you can call our church,
Yeah.
fill out anything on the website. We will get back to you. Absolutely. Social media and me we didn't work together well. So
It's all good. It's all good. The
was
team
not
hasn't
for
helped
me.
me. The team hasn't helped me because they're like, man, you're terrible. I'm like, I know that. As long as I can own it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Nice
hey,
self.
we appreciate you spending this hour and a half, 2 hours with us. I don't know how long we've been going, but we are thankful that you have blessed us with your time. We just pray that this is a blessing to you. Until next time, we'll see you. We out. Peace.